Hi folks, Rick Berube here, okay, with Dan Mumm. All right, today's topic, Monday, what is today, the 6th?
Yes.
Monday the 6th of April, okay? Our topic, my favorite, and I know it's one of Dan's too, my topic today is mindset. I thought I would start off by just saying my first point on mindset today in this wonderful time, or actually any time, okay, is that you have to, first step before you decide to increase your, it's like if you're gonna go get in health and you wanna lose weight, one of the things you gotta concentrate on is what you're eating, because no workout will outwork a bad diet, all right? And when it comes to mindset, I think the first thing you've gotta do is you've gotta eliminate the self-talk, the negative self-talk that we all have. The first thing you do is gotta eliminate, and we all do it. That's why I love how Matthew Ferry calls it the drunk monkey. I like this because it's a funny name. You know, would you let a drunk monkey loose in your house? Of course not, because it'll destroy the place. Why would you let one loose in your head? And that's that negative, incessant self-talk that you have. We all have it, all right? And you just got to realize that you have it. And when you start having it, like one of the books I'm going to recommend today is called The New Psycho-Cybernetics. He actually says, stop it. You know, mentally you say it to yourself, stop it, and then you replace it with positive stuff.
Yeah, great point. So that actually brought up one of mine that I'll move up. I think having structure is really, really important for a positive mindset and attitude. I think a lot of people who struggle with really bad anxiety or depression sometimes, especially, which a lot of us are dealing with now just because of what's going on, that is a result of not having enough structure in your life. Because when everything's kind of all over the place and not disciplined and not structured, that's what kind of leads to those spiraling thoughts, and that creates a lot of stress. So any way that, and it's even harder to have structure now because we can't work at the places we normally work at. Everyone's working at home. They have their kids and their families there.
Right.
So it's more difficult, and it's making the results harder to get as far as maintaining a positive mindset. So what you need to do is find ways to maintain, even if it's a little bit more structure than you currently have. I think that really, really helps your mindset. Just waking up at the same time every day, just start with that. That will transform everything after it. Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. And then you mentioned diet. I think that's actually worth talking about, because what you're putting in your body has an effect on how you feel and what your attitude is too. Right. So paying attention to those things really important.
What you're putting in your body for your physicality and what you're putting in your mind for your mindset is critically important. And I agree that, like at your house, you should, okay, if you're gonna work out of your house and your kids are home, and you gotta designate an area. If you don't have one now, designate an area for it. This is my workspace. And when I come in here, have an agreement with your husband or wife or whatever, this is my time to work. And, you know, with, I mean, I don't have kids at home right now, but if I did, I know how much tougher that would be. So you gotta really be structured.
Yeah, the more you structure your life, the happier you will feel, the better you will feel. And there's gonna be other specific things we talk about for feeding your mind, but that would be my number one thing.
Cool.
Sure.
All right, the next thing, do you want to give us the next point then?
Sure. Well, yeah, something else that I was thinking about, I learned this from Grant Cardone. He talks about this a lot.
Uncle G.
Yeah, Uncle G. Talks about you need to go based on what you can actually see and observe in life, and not just what you hear. And that's really important in a time like now, because you'll hear all these crazy things going on, and this person said this, and this person said this, and the bottom line is no one really knows exactly what's going on. Even the experts don't really know.
Right.
So when you get caught up at, oh my gosh, I heard this person lost their job, I heard this person's going to lose their job, I heard this and this and this, it creates this negative spiraling effect that you want to avoid. What I like to do is just go based on purely what I can physically observe with my eyes and notice about what's going on. When I objectively just look at what's going on, here's what I see. Most of my listings are still selling. I'm still making contacts with people. My business has actually grown, like it's gone up in the last month beyond what it normally would be. And that's just facts based on what I'm seeing. Now I know that might not be true for everyone, but I'm just observing my own reality.
Right.
I'm seeing people that can still afford to buy houses. I'm seeing interest rates really, really low. I'm seeing sellers who do still need to sell, who are willing to work around, the obstacles. Of course, yeah, I'm seeing less people who are willing to do physical showings now, but I'm physically observing all of those things. So I always have to remind myself, don't get caught up in what people are saying and what you're hearing, especially on the news. Go based on what you can actually physically observe with your own two eyes.
I love that too, because you're physically observing, your business is still going, things are still happening, interest rates are still low. But, like I tell people right now, you realize that this is going to be tough for some of you, because some of you are a little bit of news junkies, okay, you need to, say to yourself, I'm not going to do this more than 30 minutes a day. And for some of you, that could be even limiting your social media experience too, except not right now. You should all be on, which I think a lot of people are. So this is
absolutely. So I'll just jump in then because it's a good segue for my next point. I think you have to basically eliminate the news or get it very, very to a small amount every day. I get the idea that you need to know what's going on, but I would even challenge that a little bit and think about well, how much do you really need to know? I think at this point we know pretty much all we need to know, right? Like all the guidelines are pretty much set, and I understand things are changing, but I think most people know what they really need to know at this point. And don't let that be an excuse. Oh, I need to know what's going on, so I'm going to glue myself to the couch and watch the news for 2 hours. That's not necessary. We all know that's not necessary. So I would really pay close attention to this. You know what I was thinking? Another point on the news. Because of the fact that no one really knows what's happening, even the experts, there's a spectrum of opinions from experts, from people who study this stuff every day about how long it'll last. So which one of those opinions do you think the news will go with? Do you think they're going to go with the most optimistic one? Or do you think they're going to talk about the most scary, pessimistic one? Which one gets them better reviews, you think? So you have to think about that when you're subjecting yourself to the news. You have to understand that's very skewed information. That's all.
It's really, and you're right. It's a lot of sensationalism, and because they want to affect their ratings.
Right.
Okay. So, all right. My next point is when it comes to mindset, you have to decide whether you're going to have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. By the way, if you want to read a great book about this, Carol Dweck's book called Mindset, it's pretty much all about this. Fixed mindset means you're born with innate talent. It never gets better. So if you try to do something and you have to work at it, it means you're not good at it. You should pick something else. All right? That's not what I'm talking about. A growth mindset. Growth mindset means that no matter what you decide to do, if you work at it, you can get smarter at it. You can get better at it. Just like your body. All right? You work at it, your body's going to get better. You increase your diet, you're going to get even better. So you have to decide: am I going to have a fixed mindset or am I going to have a growth mindset? And my assumption is that since you're here watching this and listening, that you probably have a growth mindset or really want to, and that means so you need to go on, you need to become almost obsessive. I wouldn't say almost obsessive. You should be obsessive about what you're listening to. So how you're talking to yourself, critically important, but it becomes easier to talk to yourself better based on what you're listening. I listened to a book. You know who Chick Mincy is?
I don't think so.
He wrote a book called Flow. As a matter of fact.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yeah, and you should listen to that book. It's really good. It talks about how professional athletes and people get into flow. As a matter of fact, there's another book another gentleman picked up after it called The Rise of Superman. And it's all about these extreme athletes and how they get into flow. But most people, if you do something, and then all of a sudden you look at the clock and it's 30 minutes later and it felt like it was 5 minutes, that's probably something you enjoy doing. That's probably something you're good at, all right? Or something you've done for a while and you can do and think about other things, okay? Because you get into the zone. So you really think about that, because I think it's important when you create disciplines, habits, routines, it allows you to get in flow on doing certain things. And I'm going to recommend a bunch of books, but one of them definitely is Flow, and I love The Rise. You'd love that book.
Yeah, I should check it out.
Because especially the weekend you spend in San Diego.
Oh, yeah. I've been recommended numerous times, so I should check it out. One other thing on the fixed versus growth mindset, which is kind of along the same lines, is the scarcity versus abundance mindset. That's really important right now, because it's very easy to be sucked into a scarcity mindset because there's not enough, everyone's losing their jobs, supposedly, there's not enough money, and it's easy to get sucked into that. Now, I'm not suggesting, I think you should look at your expenses right now and figure out, things that you can logically cut back and take out just to, reduce any excess spending that you're doing. Of course, I'd recommend that, but I would not take that to the extreme where you're not investing in yourself anymore and you're not thinking about growing and moving your business forward. That's not a good mindset to be in. Now, your investment in yourself now will pay off more than it ever has because no one else is investing in themselves.
Yeah,
right? So.
Yeah. It's almost like I was telling them this video I did last week it was Friday. It was I only did 15% of my business in the first quarter, but then I did 35% in the second quarter. As a matter of fact, and the woman I interviewed this morning, Donna Belgram, she's from Chicago, had the same insight. But the only reason I was able to do 35 in the second is because while I had weather, snow, freezing rain, people wanted to wait till April in my area. Now you have the coronavirus. People want to wait. Some of them want to wait till it's over, but not all of them.
Right.
So, but if you're packing your pipeline, and when the floodgates open, you're way ahead, like you're doing, and some of it's happening right now. Okay, I think that's a really good idea for you to do.
Sure.
How about you do the next point?
Yeah, so next point I have is associations. You have to recheck your associations. Associations meaning people that you surround yourself with. We all know that that's extremely important for your mindset all the time, but now you have to double down on that. And you have to reevaluate. We talked about one of my best friends, his fiance is a nurse, and it's hard for nurses right now. Obviously, they're going through a really tough time.
Right.
And it's affected his mindset, and he's normally Mr. Positive in all ways. He has a great mindset.
Right.
And yeah, just because of the nature of the situation, his mindset's been off. So I have to be careful with that. So you have to reevaluate your associations. Be really, really careful who you're spending time around and what they're saying, and just be cautious of it. I'm being really deliberate to surround myself with people that are thinking the right way right now, doing the right things, taking the right actions, and not just getting too caught up in what's going on.
Very true. What is that saying? You're the sum total of the 5 people?
5 people. Yeah, I like what Darren Hardy says, where he says, you're the sum total of their bank accounts, you're the sum total of their waistlines, and you're the sum total of their relationships too. Just to get specific with it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of the books I would recommend is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's a great book.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Now, my little funny note is I call it fundamentals. I don't know if you remember this from this when you first started over at the Success Center when it was over on. But I do a little talk called fundamentals, and in the word fundamental there are 3 words: fun, and then duh, it's all mental.
Yeah.
So one of my dad jokes.
Yeah.
And you got to think about it that way, because you have to do the fundamentals every day, and the fundamentals also include your mind. Your mindset is a muscle. Okay, we all know that if I lift weights and give resistance, I'm going to get stronger. Push-ups, right now it's all body weight stuff and bands I'm using, but if you do that, you're going to get stronger. Now, with your mindset, if you constantly expose yourself to the right stuff, and it can be fundamentally, like every one of you should be listening to Think and Grow Rich if you haven't already done that. It's an incredible book, or read it, or both. All right, I like to do, if they're really good, I like to read them, and I like to listen to them. Because I like the way people explain their book too. Like, there's a new version of Think and Grow Rich out there that has a whole bunch of editor's notes, like it's been upgraded. And I love the way it's on YouTube for free, by the way. It's 10 hours long. It's a white cover with like green and yellow writing. Think and Grow Rich. It's like the first, when you pull up Think and Grow Rich audiobook on YouTube, it's the first one that pulls up. It's like 10 hours long. Listen to that one, because he reads the book and then he gives editor's notes, which are really good. I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's really good. So get that. You have to do the fundamentals every day. You know, if I want to get in shape, there's only so many ways I can do it with my chest, my back, my biceps, push-ups, pull-ups, all right, benching, but you have to do it consistently. Same with your mindset. You got to decide what that's going to be. And like what I do is beginning of the week, like I did on Sunday, is I bought my 2 books on Audible. I went on YouTube, decided to find them, and once you find them and mark them, you can go right back to them. I listened to over half my books on YouTube for free. So, and I still use Audible too. All right. So,
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Quick tip on that.
Yep.
I guess is kind of related. So your mindset is affected by, in our business, how much prospecting you're doing too, and how much lead generating you're doing. So one of the main reasons why I'm so focused on generating leads every day and getting my 3 or 4 hours in every day is because I feel better about myself after I do that. I feel better about myself. Even if I don't get any results, I just feel better about myself after I do that. So that's
You've
just
done your job.
Exactly, yeah. And it's very rare that I would do 3 to 4 hours without having some positive result. Usually I'll have at least one conversation with someone who might end up buying or selling eventually, right? So that goes back to the structure that I talked about before, but also, and it also goes to the abundance mentality, because when you start talking to people, you realize, wow, there's still people who need help, there's still people who are moving, and it just makes everything go better in your business. So the problem is, when you stop prospecting, you stop talking to people, now you start to develop that scarcity mentality. You don't have enough business. You start following up with the same leads over and over and over again that aren't going to do anything, and then you get frustrated with them, and then your mindset's off. Then you feel like everyone's negative and no one's moving, and you lose that abundance mentality.
It's a chain reaction.
Yep.
One way or the other.
Yep.
You know, it's like, have you ever had a bad prospecting session?
Yeah. every now and then.
Yeah. But even the bad ones
Oh
are
yeah,
necessary.
you're always going to have some positive result. It's exactly like working out, where you never finish a workout and then say, "Oh, I wish I didn't do that." Right? You always feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
Even if I have 0 results for my prospect, that's what I thought you meant. Even if I had 0 results, I always still feel better about myself.
That's what I was talking about. You know, and you gave the perfect example. Is there's no such thing as a bad workout. You never go home going. The drive home is always great from the gym, or now it's the walk back to my house from my neighborhood, because that's where I run, do my pull-ups. I use like monkey bars for my pull-ups. I've got bands attached to my front door inside.
I got creative.
All over the place. I got stuff to work out with. Yoga mat for sit-ups, and I like the push-ups like that. So I'm not. Anyway, you'll come up with your own routine, but you should do one. All right. That's my last point for today too, is routines and habits. The one great thing about what's going on right now is you can redecide. Like Mark said this last week, I talk about this in my little book, Success is a Verb. Create your new normal. You guys can all do that now. All the stuff that you haven't been doing, you can start doing. It's a little tougher. Like if you're one of these people that likes to go to the office, like I am, I'm so glad we can come here. All right. But if you're working out of your home, whatever, your sphere, is your sphere updated? Do you have everything in there? All right. What about the company tools like MarketWatch and BuySide and Mobility RE? Is everything upgraded to the point where you're ready to rock? Everybody's in there. They're getting newsletters and so forth. You have the perfect route. Am I working out consistently? If you have kids at home, they can do it with you. All right. It's like playtime. Working out the kids is like playtime. All right. So whatever your routine is, or you want it to be, this is the perfect time to develop the habits. It takes about 30 days to create a habit. So you really can create a new normal for yourself by going through the motions. Plus, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, watching the news is, to me, it's like running into oncoming traffic. Okay. Why would you ever do that to yourself? All right. Limit yourself. If you need to get the story, I like watching the live stuff. Every now and then I'll watch the live stuff, like Fauci and Birx, and when they're talking, those are the guys in front row. I'm not hearing someone's opinion and usually it's a scaled up version.
Right.
I'm hearing them actually talk. And even when I've been watching them for 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, that's enough. I can't handle it anymore. Yeah. Because the story hasn't changed.
Right. Social
distancing, be smart, the curve is now happening. It's probably, and they give you all those time frames, all right? So you know what you've got to do, but more importantly, you have a tremendous amount of time with less distractions right now to create the routines. And I'm going to tell you, just like working out, your mindset needs to be a routine. I know what mine is. That involves an hour and a half of day of audiobooks. I read on the weekends, all right? And I have my meditation routine. Every single day, I wouldn't miss it. Because, like you just said, I know how I feel after. There are some times I feel like I was distracted while meditating, still feel better after. There are sometimes I know I've had better workouts, still feel way better after. Even in my prospecting, I've had prospecting sessions where they were horrific. I got beat up, and I still got a lead or two or an appointment out of it. So, I don't know about you, but some days you feel like, oh, and then your first call you set an appointment.
Yep, absolutely.
So anyway, go ahead. How do you feel about
Just
that?
on the routine thing, here's what's happening right now. Everyone's routines are being disrupted. Whatever routine you had a month ago, it's going to be very hard to keep that now, right? So what will end up happening, I'm competitive, so I think of things this way. Like, well, if everyone's being disrupted, if I can figure it out, then I'm at an advantage, right? So everyone's routines are being disrupted right now. And here's the progression I went through. In the beginning, I was like, oh, this is going to be easier. I have more time. I don't have to drive to work. I don't have to drive to appointments. But it actually was harder just because of the fact that I had these certain habits and schedules set up, and once those were removed, it was hard to kind of reestablish those, right? So it's going to be difficult for everyone, and yourself and myself included, but whoever comes out of this being able to establish new routines and disciplines is going to be the people who succeed at the highest level. So that's just one point on that. And then just to kind of summarize everything, I was watching a documentary last night, and it just reminded me, because I played hockey in college, and I kind of came from an athletic background. And I've noticed that people who are former athletes tend to do really well in business, and I think one of the reasons why is because they have this ability to tolerate setbacks really, really well. That's one of the most key attributes of a successful business person is how well do you tolerate a setback, and how fast can you get back to doing what you should be doing. and not letting it affect your mindset in a negative way. And just coming from an athletic background, you just deal with really significant setbacks, not compared to this, obviously, but it's really challenging sometimes.
Right.
And having that discipline really helps. So just think about that. The more you can cultivate that in your brain, the ability to tolerate negativity and a bad situation and move forward despite that, not a lot of people have that. So
right.
That's a huge
And a
asset.
great example is Major League Baseball players. The best hitters bat 300 or maybe 320, which means out of 1,000, that means they fail 2 to 2.5 times as many times as they succeed, and they're the best, right?
Yep.
Same with hockey. How many shots do you take before you actually get a goal?
Yep.
Is that a stat they keep?
Not for
I don't think
players.
so.
For goaltenders, they keep it, but
Yeah. All right. So, any other points from you today?
No. One other thing that we kind of touched on was just social media. I would be focusing on creating and not consuming, which is kind of always the case, but even more so now because
Great
there's
point.
a lot of negativity there. It's great to be creating right now because more and more people are watching and engaging,
Right.
especially your customers. But just try and limit the consumption. Not this type of consumption. This is obviously personal development. You're investing
Right.
in yourself.
Yeah, we're not telling you the news.
Yeah, I'm talking about consuming browsing through your feed for hours and hours and hours. That's one thing. So for me, on my Facebook feed, I have a thing that eliminated my Facebook feed. It's called a news feed eradicator. So I can still go on there and post stuff like this, but I'm not just stuck for hours
Great
just browsing
idea.
through stuff and just consuming what's going on in other people's lives that might not be.
Yes. I would say, anyway, I was going to say something that I probably shouldn't, but it would have been funny. Anyway, so let's talk about a few books, and these are books that I've read recently, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot. The great thing about whether you listen to Audible or whether you listen to YouTube, when you start plugging them in, it starts suggesting books to you. Like it suggested to me on one on the weekend that I saved. I can't remember the name. I was running and I finished a book and it popped up with a new one. I was like, ooh, but I already had another one in line on Audible to listen to. I don't know about you, but I'm an audiobook addict.
Yeah, me too.
I love reading.
You can just get through more. You can consume way more material that way.
Do you set your Audible on 1.5?
No, I've tried it, but I'm just not a fan.
You know what?
Yeah.
You listen to it for 10 minutes and then you get used to it and then it sounds like normal talking.
Yeah.
Although I do kind of talk fast anyway. But. All right, so books to listen to, okay? And now these first 3 I listen to at least twice a year. Think and Grow Rich, that 10-hour version, I listen to that at least a couple of times a year. Every time I listen to it, I get something new. And usually when I do that, it suggests to me to listen to Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale has a 45-minute version. He does like a book report on Think and Grow Rich. Every one of you should listen to that. And while you have Earl up, listen to The Strangest Secret, which is awesome as well. So it's once again, and all these things got suggested to me because I was listening to it on YouTube. Psycho-Cybernetics, the new Psycho-Cybernetics. Okay, the 2 authors, the version I would listen to are Kennedy and Maltz. Okay, Danny Kennedy and Maltz. Okay, it's kind of like a blue, looks like clouds on it. It's on YouTube for free. It's like 7 hours long. Mindset by Carol Dweck, I would definitely listen to. Manifest Your Destiny by Wayne Dyer. It's one of my top 3. Manifest Your Destiny, that's kind of the spiritual positive mindset version. Atomic Habits, I love you. You probably love that
Huge
book.
fan of that book.
Huge. I mean, I listened to that book a few times. Okay, here's an interesting guy. His name is Brian Johnson, I believe. Brian Johnson. But if you go on YouTube and type in Philosopher's Notes, don't ask me to spell it. I've never won a spelling bee. But it's Philosopher's Notes, Brian Johnson, and he actually does. I think he started out trying to do them in 15 minutes or less, but now they're all below 20-minute book reports on all these books and then some. Okay, and I'm talking about. I can listen to 3 books. Some days I do that. I just listen to him for 3 books worth while I'm working out. All right, and that's when you combine a mindset routine with a physical routine. It's really tough to have a bad day. You have to try hard, right?
Yeah, completely agree.
You can jump into any books anytime.
Yeah, I mean, I've read all these, or for the most part, all these, and they're great. One that I've read recently that I really like is 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson.
Sounds good.
It's a long book, and the guy is extremely intelligent. He's a former Harvard professor, and yeah, it's just a really good one I'd recommend.
Cool, love it. Flow, I already mentioned that one.
Yep.
The Rise of Superman, I already mentioned that one. That was if you're into sports too, especially it's extreme athletes. 7 Habits what do they call it? 7 Habits of Successful People.
Highly effective people. Yeah.
Highly effective people.
That's my number one favorite book of all time, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
Love that
book. Because it's like the blueprint. Right? It gives you all of them, and he explains them really well, especially if you listen to him talking. What's his name? Stephen Covey, right?
Yeah, Covey.
Stephen Covey. Anything by Deepak Chopra, if you want to get into the spiritual part. My favorite book by him is Reinventing the Body, Resurrecting the Soul. It sounds deep, and it is, but it's really good. Misbehaving was a book, you probably like this one. It's,
I read it.
It's all about economics. It's really cool. It's called Misbehaving, how people misbehave with their money. The 10X, you just mentioned Uncle G.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was funny when we went to the Knights game and he was sitting right across from us.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And then this one here I love. It's one of my favorites, actually. How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age. It's been upgraded. I like these old books that people take them and add their own spin on them.
Psycho-cybernetics is kind of like that too, right?
Yeah.
I think they kind of...
The new Psycho-Cybernetics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny Kennedy takes it. He actually got approval from the Maxwell Maltz
family.
Right, and he redid it. And they started a whole, just like Think and Grow Rich has its own thing too. 3 Feet from Gold, Sharon Lecter, she wrote that book about Think and Grow Rich. All right, any final words for these wonderful people?
Yeah, did you read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss?
That's one of my favorites.
Oh, okay,
I'm surprised it's not on
That's
there.
more of a pragmatic book, that's probably why it's not on
Because
your
he
list.
talks all about the personality styles,
Yep.
repeating and improving, but he calls them, what does he call them? Detail?
Yeah, I forget. Maybe mirroring and matching, or he uses a different term.
Well, we call them open-ended questions. He calls them detailed questions, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what surprised me is he only has 3 personality styles.
Yeah, everyone's
kinda-
framework is different.
Yeah, he kind of combines the expressive and the driver together.
Mhm.
Then he has amiable and analytical.
Yeah.
All right, you good?
Yeah, I would just recommend too, when it comes to consuming material like this, it's good to have a broad approach, especially if you're kind of new to this. And then I would find the people that you really resonate with and go deep with those people. So I have my 3 people who I really
Great idea.
resonate with the most, who their message really registers with me, and I just read everything that they have. Uncle G is one of those. I've read all of his books multiple times. I don't try and read 50 different books.
I love his
in a week.
attitude.
Yeah, I mean, he has one of the most positive, growth-minded attitudes you could possibly
And
have.
everything's possible.
Yeah.
I was watching something he did, he was interviewing like all kinds of really famous people.
Mhm.
Like he was interviewing John Travolta about his DC 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You go on YouTube and listen to all that stuff.
So yeah, find your ones that it's going to be different for everyone, just depending on your personality or whatever. So find that, and then I would recommend, just go deep with those people. Where if you find someone, tap all of their knowledge out of them and get as much as you possibly can, because that's how you grow.
So you got Wayne, you got Cardone. Who your other
My
3?
3 are Cardone, Mike Ferry, and Darren Hardy.
All
Those
right,
are the
cool.
3 that.
And then
my
you like
main
Stephen
3.
Covey too, his book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, awesome, folks. Well, thank you very much for, and we're going to be doing Thursday. We haven't come up with a topic yet, but we will. All right, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Woo! All right, that was a good one.
Cool. That's good.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
What do you want to do on Thursday?
I don't know.
One of these times we're just going to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.